We're back with the Hasko Show. I was off for a while because I moved this summer, and I've literally spent the summer demolishing a house and trying to put together. I have two places actually. I moved to a plot of land that has a house and a trailer on it that were going to be demolished, both of them. And so I've been trying to fix them up. It has been a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun. But as you can see, I'm making some progress and I can actually now live in the trailer. I probably won't be able to live in the house for like a decade, but because it's literally falling down, but that's okay. It's a lot of fun and it's a good way to do something in physical reality because I do quite a bit in VR and also on the computer. And so that has been a good way to do some physical exercise and stuff. So I really enjoy that. I'll also be doing some streaming. I have a green screen room here and I'll be doing streaming and putting some of that on the show, as well as just basically life with VR gaming and esports. So I think hopefully it'll be fun and you guys will enjoy the show coming back again. Tonight, I'm going to be talking with Chia and Gabe Brown, the founders of BigBox VR. They created Population 1, which is an excellent new battle royale game in VR, and it's really fantastic. I've actually been able to play it for the past couple of years off and on during the beta. That has been a lot of fun, and I've enjoyed getting to know a lot of the different community members and seeing the game progress. That's been really neat. I actually have the pleasure of being one of the moderators on the Discord server, and that's been a lot of fun. I enjoy meeting the different players and getting to know the developers a little bit. I help some with the Reddit group, but mostly I hang out on Discord. And I help with the Echo VR Discord. It's just a lot of fun because you get to meet the community members that way. And of course, playing the game with everybody, it's just a great game. And so I enjoy hopping in there and flying around with my glider, climbing up the towers and jumping off. I prefer to use the sniper gun. So a lot of times I just climb up the tower and build a little platform and then shoot people from there. So I'm going to play the trailer first. It's a fantastic trailer. I love the song they used. I had actually never heard that before. And it really lets you feel immersed into the action of the game. I'm going to show that first, and then we're going to hop into the interview. It's just a really fun game. I hope you enjoyed the trailer, and now we're going to hop into the interview with the developers. I did want to make note that even though it says the game is coming soon, it's actually it has been released, and you can play it on all major headsets, including the Quest, which is really great. The game plays well, and it's a lot of fun, so I hope you'll join us. Now let's see what the developers have to say about Population 1. I love it. Thanks for letting me help moderate the Discord group. I really enjoy that. I greatly enjoy meeting all the players there and just being able to tell people what an awesome game it is and answer their questions. That's fun. So I have met both of you.
And you actually, you know, you've done so much for the VR community as a whole, not just for our game, but just like, you're just such a great person and great driving force. So really appreciate you just doing everything that you do. Thank you.
Well,
Yeah,
thank you. It's so sweet. It is. It's nice to hear nice things sometimes. You guys know everything I hear isn't nice all the time. So
Yep.
it's very, very sweet. Thank you. So I have met both of you in person, which was awesome. It was really nice to be able to visit the studio when I was in Seattle. And, you know, I was a little bit shocked about how you make games, because I had one idea in my head and reality was completely different. I mean, I guess most people watching this probably know a whole lot more than I did, because I'm sure most people would realize that you use computer programs, and I kind of envisioned you actually had these amazing worlds somewhere there in Seattle near your development studio. You know, you're out there building the little towers and putting the little people in. I'm just like, I know it makes no sense whatsoever, but it's just so real to me.
So we're like, welcome to your office, and you walked in, and you saw little computer monitors were all moving mice around. You're like, what the hell happened?
Yeah.
That was kind of my reaction. I'm like, wait a minute, what are you doing?
Wait a minute. This is boring.
Yeah.
Said it was boring, but it did kind of shock me a little. It brought me back to reality, because I was kind of like, where do you actually work?
Yeah, check back with us in 4 years. Maybe we'll be there.
All right. Well, for everybody watching this, one of the big things, they had a lot of questions. I had players send in quite a few questions, which was great. But I personally wanted to ask you, and also I'm sure some other people were interested too, how you two got together and actually started BigBox. I thought that would be a good way to start off our question answer session.
Yeah. Go ahead, Gabe. Gabe will tell our origin story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Chachin and I met together a couple of years back at Playdom, which was eventually became part of Disney, working on a game called Marvel Avengers Alliance. And so I joined as kind of the engineering manager. Chachin was the studio head. And so we worked together for a period of time. And then after that, Chachin took off. And so I think he moved overseas for a bit. But when he came back to the United States, I was like, we got to work together again, man. Like, that was magic. We need to make more magic. The world needs magic. And so around that time, we had a couple ideas that were kicking around. It's like, hey, can we make an app? Can we try different business ideas? Can we make a 3D printing instant fulfillment business on Amazon? Like, we tried a bunch of different ideas until I think I got a hold of the Oculus Rift CV1. So one of my friends was a Kickstarter backer. And so we played the most nauseating game of Minecraft in my entire life. But I was like, this is awesome. I can see where it's going. It's going to be really wild. So I put Chachin in my house here, came over, and I put him in Five Nights at Freddy's VR, had him play that. And then I don't think I had Minecraft working, but I had a couple of like small little games working. And Chachin was like, meh.
Yeah.
So
I wasn't super impressed, but I was like, there's potential here. But it wasn't until I used to work at Valve a long time ago, and one of my ex-colleagues there said, hey, we're building this VR thing. And I was like, I already saw that. I wasn't really that interested. But then he was like, no, this is different. So I went in and I saw like a Vive, before it was a Vive, and I was like, whoa, it blew my mind. Then I called Gabe up again. I was like, Gabe, VR is cool. And Gabe's like, I told you so. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really exciting. I think that's neat. So do you remember when you actually put the headset on for the first time, either of you?
Yeah, for me, for me, it was not very good. It was a CV1. So it's like, for those who don't know what the CV1 is, it's the very first Oculus headset that came out, and it predated the Vive by like a couple of months, maybe a year.
No, just a few months.
Yeah, the screen door was massive. Like, it just looked like you're playing with the screen door, like right here, and trying to play like this. But the Vive was significantly better. And so the tracking, the higher refresh rate, like, it just felt like you were there. The whale demonstration, the arrow simulation, just like, it was one of those moments where everyone tries VR for the first time. It just breaks your brain. You're like, this changes everything. And so we both walked away with that feeling of like, this is a really fascinating technology that's just coming out. and we think we could do something with it.
That's great. I think that's so exciting. What about you, Chia?
Yeah, I when I tried it was the whale experience. I think it's like that's a lot of people's first thing, right? It's like you put on the headset and you see this giant whale and you're like crapping your pants because the whale's coming to you, So I think that was like, it was really interesting because you really felt like the whale was right next to you. And then if you imagine, you're like, what if other people are next to you? And that's kind of like the genesis of a lot of our thoughts. Like, we want to make you feel like you're around other people in VR and multiplayer. And that's why really where we started this company is to drive home that sense of presence and playing with other people in VR.
Yeah, I think it's funny. Now, I have to tell you real quick, Gabe, I actually love the CV1 and I still use that. So he's sitting here talking about, it's just awful. And I'm like, hey, that's what I
end our interview now.
Yeah, she's like, bye. Oh, I gotta go. See you guys.
Yeah, I love the CV1, but I love you guys too. So I'm like, there's plenty to go around here.
Yeah. It's just for when it came out, it was pretty magical.
Yeah, actually, the reason I switched back to it recently, because I was using the S, is because I moved. I think Chia's actually been watching some of my drama on Facebook. Yeah. But I moved and I'm learning a lot of things, but I didn't realize that I couldn't have solid walls with nothing on them. Like my room had literally nothing on it. It was just green because I was making a green screen room. And for the Rift S and the Quest, of course, there's no tracking because there was nothing to track because it was all solid. So anyway, that's why I switched back, but I'll be switching back over to those again soon.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's so many things like, that we can learn as we do these, even with the games. Like a lot of times people will think, for example, there's a bug or a glitch in Population 1, and just being a moderator on the server, like they'll think there's a problem when in fact there really isn't. It's not that there's a problem. Maybe there's something that they have a setting that isn't correct. Like maybe they'll have themselves universally muted on their headset versus the voice audio isn't working in game. There are a lot of different things where we still, because the tech really is new, we're still becoming accustomed to it as users, I think, as well. And so it's important for people to realize that sometimes it's not always the developer's fault when things go wrong.
No, definitely. Don't blame it all on us.
Yeah, not all of it, just some of it. All right, well, let me hop into the questions that I had viewers sending in for you guys. And I'm going to just go down the list here. So one of the questions was, when will you guys, and I already know some of these answers, but I'd like for you guys to share with them, new maps and new game modes. People are very interested in getting to solo mode because, of course, a lot of the playtesters, we were able to play that, and they are really anxious to see that, and also different types of maps. BigBox had told me, for example, out in the distance, you can see other towers out there and stuff. So I'm excited to know if there are other maps coming that are maybe cities in those towers or whatever. So we want to hear your perspective on it.
Gabe and I are like, who? No, I mean, listen, we have so many modes and ideas, and we have a lot of things planned. And I think we're just trying to figure out like what are the most fun things and impactful things that we can make right now. But in terms of the map, like, we will be changed. Like, today was the winter update, right? And
yes, it looks
great.
That's
just the first stage of it. Like, we're gonna have another stage of that and more coming. But our idea is to make that map change over time, add to it, make it bigger, just add stuff to it. So we might have other maps, like new maps in the future, but for the time being, we're really concentrating on just evolving that one map. And as for the other modes, I mean, Gabe, do you want to talk through those, or do you want to, or I don't know. I can answer too, but I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give the answer, non-answer, but I think what we're trying to do is we want to try and make sure players of all skill levels have a great time in Population 1. Whether you're new for VR and you're playing on your CV1 and you want to have a great time, or you're an experienced veteran and you're just a hardcore competitor, We want to make sure that players of all types have fun. And so I would keep your eyes tuned to the future for upcoming modes that will help with that.
That is such a professional answer.
No, it was the non-answer. The answer is I know, and I want to tell you.
Yeah, I know. I totally read between the lines of that. It was a good answer, though. One of the main things in regards to that, though, it's not specifically a game mode, but private parties. There have been literally every day, there are people who ask about private parties because you have to have that to do, like for Population 1 to be really, really brought into the leagues. And so there are, as you guys are aware, there are some people who've been doing some competitive type things. I've been quite impressed with the way they've actually been doing it. They're finding a way to make it work, even though they don't have private parties, which is pretty cool. But what about the option for people who want to have the actual professional league and stuff? What about that? Because I know you guys have Smashbox Arena, and we were able to bring that into, like, for example, the League of International VR Esports and stuff. And so definitely, I know you have a heart for that.
Yeah, we care a lot about people who want to play it competitively, either online with other players or privately in their own setting. And in fact, we can do, Gabe has already set this up so we can do it. It's just that the front end it's a little rough and all that stuff. So a lot of the stuff actually can be done already. It's just that right now, we're like a little bit over a month after launch, 45 days, something like that after launch. And our biggest priority is just to make sure that, when the product comes out, that we build a great community that loves the game and that they can all enjoy the game together. And then, shortly after that, the next priority is to really make sure that people who want to play competitively and do their own thing can make that happen. But the tech is actually already there. We can do that. It's just, we don't want to just throw it out there in a bad way and it makes it, we want to make sure that when we put something out that it's really good.
Yeah, that's great. I think that's really good. And that's good too, the building the community. With some of the other VR esports I've helped with, or the communities I've helped develop, we've had to actually go through all the effort of building the community and growing the population and stuff. And man, you guys are starting off right off the bat with a huge advantage, because we actually have right off a much larger community, I think, because VR is growing. We have the quests coming out. There are a lot of things that have been an advantage for Population 1. So it's really nice. I think it's good that you're not splitting up that to competitive too quickly, but it's really awesome that you already have such a big player base, don't you think?
Yeah. I mean, like, we really think that, when you build a great community and the game's great, even if you don't have the infrastructure for esports, people will naturally take it there.
Yeah.
But you can't have esports out of nothing. It needs a strong base. So I think Gabe and I, it's like, we're just really obsessed about making sure that the base is extremely strong and that people playing are just happy and excited to come back and all those things. That's like our top priority right now, for sure.
That's great. Yeah, and it's good. You've made it clear through Smashbox Arena and other interviews and things you've done that you do support esports, though. And I know there are going to be a lot of people watching this because of my background as well, and because they like the game, that are going to want to know that. So,
yeah.
Okay. All right. So one of the main things I think I really respect about you guys and appreciate is that you do focus on the community. And, that's really important to the overall growth of VR. It's not just this game or esports, it's the overall growth of VR that we establish a good foundation from the start. And so it's fun to see all the people engaging. It's really exciting. So let's get into some fun questions that they might like the answers to. What is or who is the Game Bureau, and how did that come about?
That's all you, Chachin.
No, so the Game Bureau is this entity. Pop One takes place in the near future, in the near distant future. It's not like 300 years. But it's not like 5 years either. It's like somewhere between there. And in the future, there's a game called Population 1 in which people participate in, and it's fun to play and fun to watch. and there's an entity called Games Bureau that is really in control of everything. So it's actually me and Gabe. No, but that's as much as I'll say, because I think the fiction of it will evolve and people will get to see more and more of it.
Yeah, mysterious organization that somehow controls the contest.
That's great. Now, I like the fact that I think you two are pretty open to the community itself actually helping develop some of that story and lore and everything. So have you been following along with that whole discussion on Discord? And have you seen the kid who's been making the videos? I think super. I mean, it's amazing. I love those things.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. He picks up on a lot of details, which is pretty clever.
Yeah, I seriously think he needs to be like recruited to be a journalist when he grows up, an investigative journalist or reporter. Because I was telling him, I'm like, you've got some serious skills for seeing those little details.
we had like watching parties just to watch his video. We're like, hey, really? And then one of them, I think the second one he released, he was like, hi everyone, I just woke up. So, but anyway, here's a video I'm gonna make. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, he's very talented. He's gonna love that we mentioned him too, I'm sure. But very talented. I love seeing people in the community. That's one of the best things that I have enjoyed about being part of this whole industry. I've seen so many people that just have an amazing talent. Like what this little thing that they do, it blesses the rest of us, you know, and when they use it in that way to either make a video or write stories or do training videos or whatever. Oh, speaking of that, what about, I don't know if you guys are aware, we did boot camps with a lot of the other games, VR games. And so what do you think about stuff like that for Population 1? Like training up new players and welcoming newcomers. What do you think about that? How should we do that? Should we be doing that, you know, in our little squads and stuff?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's like welcoming newcomers to VR. It's because I think we have a personal mission. It's like we want Population 1 to do well, but we also want every other VR company out there to do well. And we want a thriving and growing ecosystem, because if we're succeeding and new players are succeeding and coming have a great time, they're going to try out other VR content as well. And so our goal is not just to make Population 1 happen. Our goal is to make VR happen. And that happens when everyone contributes and makes everyone feel welcome and having a great time together. Because when just with Cha-Chen and I, it's like when we had great experiences in VR, especially social VR experiences that were fun and interesting, we tell friends about it and they're like, that's cool, I want to try that too. And so I think Cha-Chen and I started a whole company together with the belief that VR is the future and that's going to be the medium and where computing is going to go. And Population 1 is like one of our attempts to try and help that happen. Can we shift an industry together? We don't know, but we're going to try.
Well, I think you already have in a way, because Population 1's Battle Royale, and most definitely by far, it's the best Battle Royale in VR that we have thus far. And so that's a good question right there in and of itself. How do you think that it's different from what else is out there already? And, what were your goals specifically with making a Battle Royale game in VR?
Yeah, I guess I'll chime in and Cha-Chen can jump in as well. But yeah, our goals were, we didn't really start with Battle Royale in mind. We start kind of like with a prototype and it evolves from there. So we really started with the concept of like DayZ and the concept of like open world survival and running around and trying to survive. But something that we found is just playing in VR, it's like compressing a 2-hour game experience in DayZ down. It's like, it's hard to play standing in VR for 2 hours. So it's want to compress that and have it more action packed. Being able to move through the world in the way that you would expect. So like the vertical combat systems, like a key part of that is like traversing the world in a way that you would expect in a movie like Ready Player One or something like that. So combining those elements together to make a game that's like super fun, super impactful, but also has lots of players in there. And so Battle Royale is like kind of where we drifted to. So we actually started this before PUBG even came out. And so we had quite a bit of development before PUBG came out. And we were already leaning towards the same directions because of like the Arma 3 was kind of the genesis for what we were doing. And Arma, those PUBG and Fortnite also borrowed from each other as well to get into that genre. So, but yeah, so I think that's a big chunk of where we started. I don't know, Chachin, if you want to add anything to that.
The only thing I'd add is that we wanted to make a game that's not only great fun to play, but also great fun to watch. When I was watching DayZ, I really never played DayZ that much, but I enjoyed watching it more. And so to me, that was a really interesting moment where I was like, it's because I understand everything. I don't have to I'm like, what is that thing? In some games you're like, I have no idea what's going on. But when you watch DayZ and PUBG and those games, you really understand it. You're like, oh, this is going on. And I think a lot of our design is based on it's easy to understand for the viewer, but also for the player, vice versa.
Yep.
Yeah, and you have a great spectator mode. I mean, it's fantastic. It's really good as far as being able to, after you die or if you want to stay in the game, hang out and watch. It's really, really good. I've heard a lot of people compliment on that. And just as a side note here, Gabe was talking about playing standing, and a lot of people, don't want to stand up that long and play. But I want to point out here, you can play population when seated. It's perfectly accessible as a seated player because I play seated, and I know a lot of people are beginning to ask about that more.
I do as well because I'm lazy, but don't tell anyone.
That's terrible.
I sit in this chair and I'm like,
well, I don't do it because I'm lazy, but I have to say I probably do look like that sometimes.
It's actually because I have to play, we do tests every day, right? So I'm popping in and out of Pop 1 over and over, and at some point I was just like, I'm just gonna sit down and play this. But it's actually really fun sitting, seated.
Yeah, I mean, I seriously do. Normally I'm in my typical Hasko mode where I'm ready to go shoot everybody or hit them in echo or whatever. I mean, I'm very competitive in games, but occasionally I do look more like that, Chichin, and I'll just be like, just chilling out in my chair with my gun or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's why I've just started streaming, and I've learned I have to be careful to make sure the camera's on or off, dependent on whether I'm doing that, whether I have on pajamas, those kinds of decisions you have to really think about when you're trying to actually develop a professional persona. You got to start thinking about that stuff more. So, all right, next questions. We got to go through these. I have a lot of questions for you. So we went over Game Bureau. Why bananas and sodas? This is the one thing I really disagree with you guys on. I'm greatly opposed to sodas, because they're so unhealthy. It just disturbs me that you have sodas in the game. I always tell people, they're vegetable sodas. They're vegetable drinks. They just call them sodas.
We'll switch them to LaCroix.
Fizzy waters.
Yeah, I don't know, just health drinks or something. So how did you guys settle on banana as opposed to apples or something? Because I like apples. I like bananas too. They're great. Any kind of fruit. But why bananas? People want to know.
No, it's really because there's many reasons. Banana is the food of the divine. Everyone loves bananas. But besides that, it's because we wanted something that takes time. So usually in 2D games, right, in pancake games, you do something, you press a button or something, and then timer goes off, or it shows you an animation, and it's because it doesn't want you to do that action as fast as you can. It wants you to, it gives you a pause before whatever effect can take hold. So we were experimenting with that notion in VR. It's you actually have to, some time has to elapse before it gives you the health or gives you the effect. And so we're like, well, what can you do a few times? We're like, make a sandwich. We thought about that. We thought about, then
you have the gluten issue. Is it gluten-free bread?
Yes. And then someone on the team, PM, who's on our team, he was like, well, what if you take this Jack-in-a-Box and you crank it, it comes out and then kisses you and gives you health. And we're like, I don't know about that. so at the end of the day, we're like, well, hey, a banana kind of works. But I mean, that's how we arrived there, basically.
That's really great. I love that.
Yeah.
That actually goes to a question. I had another question for you guys about how you assembled your team. Not the Jack in the Box guy, but no, I'm just kidding. He counts too. So everybody, how did you guys come together? Because you have a really good team there. I mean, I've met quite a few of you, and then as far as the work I've seen that you do, it's really impressive. So how did you get all you guys together?
Gabe can answer. He'll give his take, and I'll give my take.
Yeah. I think, when we were first getting bootstrapped, we worked with we wanted to grab some people that we've known before. I think we first started off with just some people that were within our own network, just to get off the ground. So we work with some people that happened to be nearby, they were in our network and had time to help us experiment and prototype. And this was like the Smashbox Arena days. But after we got Smashbox out the door, we were really thinking about, okay, now we understand how VR works. We understand like how people want to interact with it. And we understand like what players want out of a new VR title after Smashbox. And so that's where we started looking beyond our network. And so we really look for people who are like direct. They're kind of wily in the sense that they like to solve problems in unconventional ways, but not in a way that's like going to hurt us later. And iterative.
Which is evil people. Yeah.
Yes. I think the last one is like iterative. Like, do people enjoy just like, let's try this? Well, that didn't work. What about this? Okay, that's better. Let's go closer. Okay, no, that's better. We go the other way. So it's really about having that drive to want to try things over and over again. Because it's like the drop pods is a great example. It's been through like 200 plus iterations at least. And so that we look for people who like demonstrate those skills and abilities that help fit into what our personal development style that we like. And some people love it and some people hate it. But in general in life, when I find something's pretty polarizing, you're generally going the right direction. And so that's something that's really interesting that we've applied even going forward, and that still continues to work really well for us too. So Cha-Chen will probably add his 2 cents onto it as well.
No, I think Gabe answered it like exactly how I would answer it. And we have a very specific style of work, and it probably drives like 98% of the people crazy. Like they'll probably work with us and they're like, what the hell is this? But we know for the right people, we can achieve the right results. You know, we test the crap out of everything. If it's good enough, we test it 10 more times. It drives people crazy a little bit when they work with us, but the truth is it's like, you know, we care about refinement and just iterating and just making sure that it's really good. Yeah, that's how we work.
Yeah, the easiest way to describe it is most people in software development, getting it to work is enough, where it works, okay, it's done. But for games, and particularly how we work, it has to feel good. And feel good is like 10 times more difficult than it is just to get it to work. And that's why like Apple devices are seen in that light, because they apply that kind of same lens, which is it has to feel good to use the device. How does it fit in your hand? Like, how does the software work? And so they have a particular style that's kind of similar, and it's not for everybody.
Yeah, that's great. I think it's funny when you were talking about that, it made me think of the people. It's rare that we see anybody complain about the way the game feels or, you know, how it's played or anything, because they like it. It's great. Occasionally I see people who try to compare it too much to the realistic meal sims available in VR. We have some really, really good ones. And so I remind them, you know, it's not intended to be a meal sim. And so one of the things I really like about Population 1 is the fact that you can go in there and it does feel really good when you're playing it. And it isn't intended to be like that. It's so funny because it's not the same stressful environment with a gun where you're out there with your team stalking the opponents, you know. It's just, it really is a lot of fun to go and you've got your, whether it's solos or whatever, because, you know, I was a playtester, so I did play different modes, and it is a different feel, and I think it is a good feel. So you guys have accomplished that nicely. But and actually that brings me to another question. I think the answer to this question is because you accomplish it nicely because you because of the way you have designed it. But somebody was asking why the characters, for example, are so colorful and you know, bright. Like, why did you choose make the design choices you have? Is that just to achieve the overall feel, or was there another reason for that?
No. Yeah, so it's extremely intentional. It's not, it's kind of funny because at first people see it and they may still feel this way, but they're like, it's so generic looking. It's so like, people sometimes want like super crazy outfits or crazy stuff. And you know, as we create more content and put them in, we will go crazy a little bit, right? But the foundation of this is that we want people to come into VR and feel like it's extremely relatable. Even though, yes, there are, you know, sci-fi-ish looking stuff, even though there's weapons that are a little bit, you know, weird or whatever, but at the end of the day, you look around and you're like, oh, I have seen that person before. I have seen that structure before. Everything is pretty familiar. That's actually pretty hard to do in VR. It's actually harder to do that in VR than it is going a little crazy, because a lot of games, they give this sci-fi environment or really abstract robots or whatever. And there are many reasons for that. One of the reasons is because they might like that more, but honestly, the biggest reason is because the technical limitations of VR makes it easier to go stylized. So when you have a lot of people doing one thing, you kind of want to try the opposite. And so for us, we did the opposite. We actually built something that is really familiar on purpose. And you go in VR and you just go, oh, I know this world. And suddenly it's like, it clicks. And so all the characters, you know, look like someone you've seen in real life, like PJ, right? Like he's wearing the blue puffy jacket. I literally have seen PJ walking around, right? And that's on purpose because we wanted to create an iconic character. Do you know like the Andre the Giant thing where they stamp around? It's like obey. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's like it's like Andy Warhol, like taking a Campbell soup can. It's like everyone knows a Campbell soup can. And you print it 10 million times and suddenly it's its own iconic thing. So we wanted each one to be its own iconic thing. PJ, the blue puppy thing. Hattie is, you know, it's like red hoodie thing, like very specific. Anyway, that's why we did that.
That's great. And I can see Gabe's wheels thinking there, okay, because Hasko's going to ask him, now I want to know, Chia, where is the ice princess? Because if you say you've seen all these people in real life, I'm thinking, what kind of people are walking around the streets of Seattle? Because I want to move there and find the winter warrior guy, man. I'm looking for a man, and I like him. He has a nice outfit.
well, the third part of this is that if everything was weird, then nothing's weird. So we wanted to come in where the foundation, the characters are pretty normal. And then once in a while, we have these like accents that come in, you know?
Yeah, I'm just picking on you. Personally, I'm dressed as the Scarecrow currently because I like the Scarecrow. I thought that was pretty cool. But all right, so yeah, I was just picking on you, Chia. It's okay. I like the winter clothes. They're very, very cool. People love them.
I love it.
You're crying inside. Okay. Well, I'm going to dress up like the Winter Warrior when I hop back on tonight because the ladies' clothes, I like them, the ice lady, but I don't know. I'm very immersed when I get in VR, like very immersed. And I, honest to goodness, feel like I will feel cold if I put on that outfit. I'm just like, there's no way I'm wearing that. I'm going to freeze to death. All right. A few last questions here. Did want to make sure we fit these in. What about, and some of this you may not be able to answer, but hopefully you can at least speak to it a bit. Live support. Is that coming? And if so, do you have any timeline?
Yeah, like we're trying to incorporate as many tools as possible to make it so streamers can have great content. So like Chachan was saying, it's like we want everything to look as good as possible. So exploring.
Excellent. Be haptics best. We've had a lot of questions about that every day. Questions about that.
Yeah, for more of the haptics devices, I don't know if we would support those or not, just because they tend to be, there's a lot of them, there's very fragmented, and for certain devices that some of the headsets that we have to support, they're quite expensive in terms of custom physics engine that we've written. And so they're not like drop in, but like Chacha and I always talk about, it's like we want to be on every possible device. And so when it's possible, we want to be able to do it. So it's a cool piece of tech, though. I've seen a lot of people play with it and seen people get shot on VR. It's actually pretty wild.
Yeah, I think the B haptics is pretty cool. And Live, definitely, the streamers will love that when that's available. What about 90 hertz? Because Bagel's already answered this in chat, but I think a lot of people are still asking that. And this particular question came off of Facebook, so I just wanted to pass that on to you guys.
Yeah, I think I think you're asking if we're looking at 90 hertz for Quest 2.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're definitely looking into that. We're experimenting with it right now. It's not quite ready. So we're just looking into seeing, like, is it possible to support it, and having it be stable and comfortable. So for us, like having players be comfortable and having a great experience and not thinking about the hardware and not thinking about the headsets is a super important part. So we want to make sure it's a perfect experience for players before it's something we roll out. But we're certainly playing around with it. So we'll definitely be talking to some players about, like, hey, try this out. Tell us what you think.
The play tester, because I know that hasn't been reactivated, but Trent actually had set up there's still a playtester group out there to do that. And so, okay.
Yeah. So for unreleased features that we're just like, hey, we always talk to our community, and just like we do internally, we'll just say, hey, go play this for an hour or two. Tell us what you think. Does it suck?
That's great.
Is it great? What do you like? What do you hate about it? And then we'll rinse, wash, and repeat 100 times.
And now it's my understanding, one of the issues with 90 hertz to be careful with Quest 2 is if you're not very careful about how you do that, it can make people nauseous, right?
There's certain circumstances that could make people nauseous, but for the most part, Oculus has really great technology, the time warp, and which helps cover up most of that. They've innovated a lot of that on the PC, as well as Steam VR also has their own version of time warp. So if it's missing frames, it can cover it up. And so it does a pretty darn good job.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, of course, I use the Quest and stuff. I like all those devices. Why can't we drive the vehicles, Chichin? People want to know. You can't drive them anywhere. They want to know why.
We actually experimented with vehicles really early days, but we just really want to make sure that the flying was the thing that people did. We could potentially still have vehicles in the future. It's just, but in our Pop 1 world, in the future, vehicles just aren't needed anymore. People just fly. That's why.
Okay. I like it. All right. I accept that answer, but I'm going to ask you a different one then, because I don't care. I don't care if we can have vehicles or not. Why can't we hit people? Why can't we hit people? That's what I want to do. You know what? I want to be able to steal somebody's gun and bash them across the head with it. They want melee mode. Is it going to ever come? Will that ever be an option?
Yeah. Well, I do have to point out a plot hole. They do use drop pods. That's technically a vehicle.
That is true.
But you don't drive it.
Yeah, you need to be able to crash it into other people's pods.
It's a Tesla. It's a Tesla drop pod. It drives itself.
Yes.
Yeah, but it has a safety mode on it that won't allow us to hit each other. If you're going to have a vehicle that you say we can drive, I should be able to hit people with it.
Yeah. But joking aside, it's something we will probably explore at some point. Honestly, we did look at it in the past, and it was a little nauseating to play. Like when you go fast, it just didn't feel comfortable. That's actually one of the biggest reasons why we didn't incorporate it. Okay. But it doesn't mean we can't solve it. So we might take that on again.
Yeah. It's the biggest part is just like having control over what's happening in VR is super important for people to be comfortable. And so like the vertical combat system is like all about being in control and making it so it's easy for you to do it. But using a virtual steering wheel in VR is really hard. Like, I think the only thing that is like maybe like a Segway scooter or something like that, that's a little powered Segway you could drive. It's like easy enough to do in VR, but
we did that prototype. We actually made you have like a little scooter around, and it actually felt okay, but you looked really dumb. So we're like,
yeah.
hell no.
Flying's more cool for sure.
Yes, yes.
Do you think we'll ever be able to though hit like do anything with melee, or are you stuck on just shooting one another, not hitting one another?
No, we're definitely exploring it, and we will release anything that is fun. So like if it's fun and it feels good, and if people want it, we actually honestly like we listen to the community a lot. We obviously can't answer to every post.
Yeah.
But we are constantly reading almost every comment, even the mean ones we read. Like late at night, I'm like close my eyes and I
I'm reading them and I'm just like
no, but at the same time, honestly, we read all the comments. So we know that there's a big demand for melee, and it's something we are experimenting with. And if we think that we can nail it and make it like a great experience, we'll definitely do it.
Oh, that's so exciting. I'm already having visions of like a mallet and, all kinds of weapons you can have that I can go hit people with. This is so good. It doesn't even have to be your hands. Oh, you can use your hands too. That's great. All right, guys. The last thing was, and we're out of time, but I had somebody who was asking, a couple of people actually were wondering what your favorite VR game is. Do you actually have time to play any other VR games? Do you have a favorite game? And please tell me you play VR games and not flat games, because it'll make me go cry. I'll have to get my Kleenexes if you say that.
Yeah, I mean, I play a couple of VR games. Like I played Alex. Like loved Alex. It was great. I also got Squadrons because it reminds me of the old school Wing Commander. Back in the old DOS PC games, and so I was playing Star Wars Squadrons in VR, which was an absolute blast. It was super fun. But yeah, and I do play some pancake games. Obviously, everyone in the world is going to play Cyberpunk next week, so.
Yeah, we play and study the crap out of every game. So we play all the games. I actually in my non-shooting game type of game, mindset, I actually like lots of sports games. That's actually what I like. And so just because it's so different from what I'm making, it just like gets me in a different space and I tune out. So I bought Thrill of the Fight, the boxing game. So yeah, it's actually, that's a really good game. It's a really good game. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, it really is. And I think it's good that we have those, like sport games that are based on real life sports. They're kind of nice. I mean, I like, I play Echo Arena a lot, and it has, it's a sport game that's unique because there's no way we could play a zero gravity game in real life. But it's nice that we have like tennis and golf and all this other stuff. If that's what you enjoy. I don't like necessarily emulating things, but boxing. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, was there anything else before we sign off that you wanted to add for the viewers? I think that this would be a good video. I think that people will enjoy it, hopefully. And I really greatly appreciate you guys taking the time to chat with me this evening. And let's pray that the recording worked, because I had so many problems. BagelBites actually sat on here the other night and tried to get my audio to work with me, which I was very
nice.
It was so sweet. I was very grateful. I'm just like, I'm so stressed. I hooked up this whole computer by myself because I'm doing pretty much everything here by myself, setting up my house, painting, putting like floors and windows and everything. And I'm like, and on top of that, I have to hook up a computer. And I'm like, I can't get the audio to work. But we went through all these different settings and I was so happy.
So I call Bagel Bites for tech support too. So it's all good.
Yeah, I think I made him feel very happy, because I was like, you're such a hero. And he's like, well, I did 5 minutes of something and I'm a hero. And I'm like, yes, you have no idea. You really are.
No, but I think the last thing I want to say is just to reiterate, thank you so much for being such a pillar of the VR community. Not just, once again, not just for Pop One, but just for the entire VR community. And I think this is a really important moment in history, actually, right? So like we are all trying to make VR work. It has amazing potential. The hardware is really freaking good right now. We need more great content. We need more developers, more players, and let's just all create something amazing together.
Totally.
It's so exciting. Yeah, it's great. I agree. I think that for sure. So let's get everybody else on board. All right, guys. Thanks so much. I appreciate you chatting with me this evening. I hope you have a
thank you so much.
wonderful night. See you guys later.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.